Christmas is a season for reflection and renewal. We celebrate the birth of a baby who brought light into a world longing for hope. We thank God for our many blessings, and we commit to greeting our triumphs or troubles in the years to come with humility. Here's what I'm praying for this Christmas. I pray that every one of our children knows love and safety, and that each one has an opportunity to reach for the stars. I pray that the young Bahamian heroes working to protect our nation are themselves protected. I pray that the new generation of Bahamians building our country's bright future will always hold on to their determination. I pray that those who have become doubtful or grown distant from God are once again brought close, reminded of his love and mercy, because faith is our foundation. It is only when we align our hearts with God's will, when we trust in his grace, that we see our true strength as individuals, in our communities, as one nation under his light and love. I know you'll join me in these prayers for renewal, for transformation, and for one another. Merry Christmas. May God bless every one of us, and may God bless the Bahamas.
The Office of the Prime Minister Press Office is the primary liaison between the Fourth Estate and the Office of the Prime Minister and Cabinet.
Every day, we are working to build a more inclusive economy and a stronger, safer country.
Hear all of the latest developments as the Davis administration carries out the broad mandate of progress and change. Our live weekly press briefings provide full access to current newsmakers on the most topical issues of the day. We facilitate prompt responses from cabinet ministers on the latest reports and get answers on the issues that matter to you.
Will any penalties be levied against the
OPM Press Now, keeping you in the know. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Office of the Prime Minister. Merry Christmas to everyone. I want to get that out because this will probably be our final press briefing for the year before we take that plunge over into 2025. So I want to say Happy New Year as well, and I hope everybody enjoys their holiday. Today we are going to hear from the Minister of Works and Family Island Affairs, Mr. Clay Sweeting. He will give us an update on the pending local government elections. He'll also speak to the proposed Local Government Amendment Bill 2024 and what some of the tenets of that bill are. If time permits and he is able, we also expect to hear from a consultant with the Labor Resource Unit at the Public Service in the Ministry of Labor, Mr. Bernard Evans. Of course, one of the big stories that's been swirling in the news has to do with the proposal to change the pay schedule to bi-weekly within the civil service. We hope that Mr. Evans will make it in time here to speak to that. Otherwise, we will make him available at another occasion. But we will start things off now with the Minister of Works, Mr. Clay Sweeting, on the pending local government elections. Mr. Sweeting.
Thank you, and good morning. Happy holidays to everyone joining us today. I would recognize the Acting Director of Local Government, Administrator Donald Roll, as well as FAS Administrator 1, Therese Boudreau-Lang, and Administrator Pinder, as well as everyone from the Ministry of Works, Family and Affairs. It is always a privilege to speak about an issue that is so deeply personal to me as someone born, raised, and still living on a family island. So today I am honored to announce the timeline and the framework for the 2025 local government elections, which will mark a transformative chapter in local governance across the Bahamas. On Friday, December 20th, 2024, the writ of elections will be issued. This will officially begin the process with nomination day set for Monday, January 6, 2025, and local government elections scheduled to take place across 33 districts on Thursday, January 23, 2025. These elections will determine leadership for 20 second scheduled districts, which include 40 town committees made up of 268 members and 13 third scheduled districts comprising of 132 council members. In total, we will see 241 council members serving on 33 district councils. Local government has long been the foundation of governance on our Family Islands, ensuring that decisions are made closer to the communities that they affect. However, as we look forward, we do so under a redefined and revitalized local governance framework introduced by the government through the passage of the Local Government Bill 2024. This bill will be the framework under which the 2025 elections are held and represents a bold step to ensure that we bring transformative changes such as clearly defined roles for Family Island administrators and elected officials, provision for additional oversight in the form of assistant directors, and the designation of responsibilities within the department's directorate, financial autonomy in the form of revenue-raising powers, empowering councils to enhance and better manage resources and the delivery of services, greater transparency by explicitly detailing financial protocols, reporting mechanisms, and the remuneration of practitioners, a restoration and expansion of authority in areas such as building control, road traffic, town planning, port authority, and hotel licensing, and opportunities to modernize governance and enhance community involvement, ensuring that residents have a more significant role in shaping their communities. Protocols for contractual engagement, the commitment of government funds, and the legal responsibility of all practitioners, reflecting the government's commitment to transparency, accountability, and fiscal responsibility. These changes will not only empower councils and committees, but will also serve to streamline governance, to foster economic development, and to improve the quality of life for all Bahamians. As someone who has seen firsthand the importance of local governance in shaping strong and resilient communities, I am filled with pride and optimism as we embark on this new era. The modernization of local government is a testament to this administration's commitment to putting power and decision-making into the hands of the people. And with this new era, we must ensure that local practitioners truly work along with their communities to be fair, to be transparent, and to, foremost, not stifle growth. I urge all eligible Bahamians across our Family Islands to engage in this process, whether by offering yourself, supporting candidates, or by casting your vote. Your participation will help ensure that our communities continue to thrive and that local government remains a beacon of democracy and progress. Thank you. May we all look forward to a vibrant and impactful local government election season. Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Sweeting, not about local elections though, about the public cemetery in particular. Apparently it's running out of space and it's unkempt, and public and funeral directors have to wait about 7 days before they get an approval, if they get an approval. Is anything going to change with the public cemetery at Spikenard?
Well, we are aware of the need for expansion there. We have working along with Land and Surveys to expand Spikenard there, so we are aware, we're working along, so you should see in the next few months the expansion of the graveyard there.
The second question, what about the process of getting an approval for a plot? Apparently you may or may not get one.
No, I don't think, I mean, we have a process at the ministry that, may take, it doesn't happen overnight, it may take a few days, But I think the process, for the most part, I have very few complaints, if any, in regards to approvals for getting a plot or anything in that matter.
You said for the cemetery, there's plans for expansion. How much will that cemetery be expanded to? How many lots can we expect?
Right, so, I mean, we're working to see what's available from Crown Land, and then we can say, because we'll go by acres, and then once the acreage is determined, then we'll determine how many plots allotment will be there. But we're aware, Ministry of Works is working on it, and hopefully within the next few months, we should see an expansion there. We already have a scope of works on what needs to be done in regards to fencing and for that area there.
Mr. Sweeney, what is your level of concern, right, as area MP, that this utility crisis seems to be exacerbating? We know earlier in the year, I think around the summer months, the government promised to take some necessary action if necessary to alleviate that situation. But residents are fearful that they're going to have to go into the Christmas season without water, without light. Any concerns that this is being drawn out?
Right. So let me start by saying I seen an article where I think all the news stations were tagged, if I'm not mistaken, 40 years ago. It was, I think, Norman Solomon was a member of Parliament at the time, where they had an electricity crisis in Harbour Island. We are here now in 2024, and I've been an advocate, and I think members of Parliament prior to me representing Central and South and North Eleuthera for Member of Parliament Sylvanus Petty. I think there's always a concern when you represent a constituency and you want the best for them. Because when, as members of Parliament, when you vie for office, same as local government practitioners will now vie, we would hope that elected persons do so because they want to ensure that their constituents get the best health care, get the best utilities, everything that they would want to see, they would fight for. But that being said, the government has, I spoke to Minister Colby Davis and Minister Lundy, they have made improvements. The challenge on this weekend was in regards to transmission and distribution, not generation. The generation issue, for the most part, I think, is alleviated for the winter months. They're working on a plan for the summer months. When you look at the water issue, that is a byproduct of electricity issue. So they're working on that now. I think for the most part, all of Eleuthera besides Harbour Island and Spanish Wells has potable water to this point. I've seen Minister Lundy reached out to me this morning where they have BPL working along with them at the site at the Bogue desalination plant where they're making some changes to ensure that that is corrected there. But to your question, you know, if I wasn't concerned, I don't think that I'd be a good member of Parliament because your job is to be concerned for everything. Well, if your constituents are not getting what you feel they deserve. Now, if you want to ask if the government is working on it, we are. This is a 40, 50-year-old crisis. We are sitting in the chair and we must fix it. That's the bottom line. I mean, I won't come with excuses, but what I will say is that this is an issue that we must fix quickly. We fixed a generation issue for the most part, and now we have transmission distribution lines. Eleuthera's 110 miles long, plus you've got settlements, that issue there. So hopefully you'll see a big change by the summer that the residents will be, for the most part, secure in that. You know.
You mentioned that it's a legacy decade-old issue. What are things being done under your leadership as MP to address, again, a legacy issue, especially given critics' arguments who say this could tarnish your chances of being re-elected as MP of the 840 year, some 2 years out of an election?
Now we gotta be very careful, because when you're a member of Parliament, don't mean that you're the Prime Minister or that you control every ministry in that area, right? I think as a member of Parliament, you are elected to represent. You are elected to agitate. And if it's under your portfolio that you can do, you know. But at the same token, and I think sometimes as Bahamians, we look at all the negative. You asked me if this will tarnish my re-election hopes or whatever. You haven't spoke about the new healthcare facility that's under construction. You haven't spoke about the 163 miles of road that's being paved in Eleuthero. You haven't spoke about BTVI, the first campus on a family island opened in Eleuthero. You haven't spoken about, for the first time, low-cost housing being built in Rock Sound. So, I think, especially in this Christmas season, let's go there, where we speak about hope, we speak about optimism. There's a lot that the administration has done, especially in Central and South, that they haven't seen for decades. In January, we'll be building a dock in Tarpon Bay. We'll be building a dock in James Siston. So you look at all of these things that the government has done in a constituency that's been neglected for years. I don't see, well, I would hope, that challenges that we're correcting over decades of negligence would determine whether or not I'm re-elected in Central and South Eleuthero.
Yeah, I know there was a fire in Harbor Island, and I'm sure Harbor Island is not under your constituency, if I'm not mistaken. But if there's a case of a fire, is the pressure or the water supply in your part of the settlement is enough for when someone wants to have water access?
Right, I wouldn't be able to speak to that's a water and sewage question.
Timeline on the public cemetery expansion.
We would hope within the next 6 months that you'd
6
see.
months?
Yeah, we would hope that you'd see all of that ironed out.
Any plans to actually change the way it's actually managed and manicured? Because there's also complaint that some of those plots are too small or they're being given out too willy-nilly.
That the plots are being given out willy-nilly? What's the question?
Is there any way to change, is there a plan to actually change the way the actual cemetery is managed? Because apparently it's being left unkempt and unmanicured, and there are plots going where they shouldn't be going, or being buried they shouldn't be
I mean, I haven't had any complaints. I know, well, I mean, that's a couple different questions you ask. You're asking about manicure. I know that we have, at the Ministry of Works, we have persons that inspect, and if a graveyard isn't manicured in the right manner, and there is someone who has a contract for that, then they either correct it, or then someone would be issued a contract in that regard.
With the new year approaching, we've seen 6 shanty towns torn down this year, one of them in 2023. What's the task force plan heading into the new year? Where do you see?
Right, we'll continue the same process. We've already served notices on I think it might be 2 shanty towns prior, and so they already have their notices, and they'll, moving through the next year, we'll continue with the same process we have in the past. So with the task force is still very active and very engaged in doing what they're mandated to do.
Back to you, very quickly. Is there any update on the Glass Window Bridge project? Just this week, you saw some notices in terms of the bridge closing and opening, safety reasons.
Right, so the Glass Window Bridge is moving very quickly. I'm very excited about that. The Bridge Authority is working along with the Ministry of Finance to secure the funding that would, in turn, build and construct a glass window bridge. We would hope, if all works in regards to financing to final approvals with architecture and engineering, we would hope, I don't like to set timelines, but we would hope that we would see some movement by mid-year 2025.
Are you able to say, sorry, those 2 shanty towns where those notices were served?
No, not currently.
Minister Sweeting, I know this is a question for the Ministry of Health, but I'm sure that the Ministry of Works had some oversight or some insight into it. I want to get an update on the new hospital. What is the plans looking like? What is the discussions been looking like? And when can we start to see shovels on the ground?
Yeah, you would have to ask Minister Darville on that, because they would be leading that project in that regard. They'd be dealing with most of the architectural and all of that when the construction actually starts, and we'll start with the permitting and all of that. So Minister Darville would be better fit to answer that question.
So what's the relationship like with government and the water provider in Luthra, given that, I know there was a joint statement released, I think in July or some month around there, basically threatening to move on from the water provider if they don't get it together, so to speak. What's the relationship like now, months later?
You would have to speak to Minister Lundy, but I think that I've been very vocal and firm. If you are a contractor, whether it's water, whether it's construction, whether it's road paving, and you do not live up to your obligations that you are contracted to do, then you should not be doing business with the government. Whatever contract you have with the government, if there are obligations that you should provide it by in your contract that you do not live up to, then you should not be doing business. Because at the end of the day, it affects people's lives in one way or another. And the people, especially in the Family Islands, deserve the same amenities as the persons who live in New Providence.
Finally, what's the last Road project looking like? How's that coming along?
Yeah, so we're finished, I think, when at the last press briefing we had, you got plenty of questions today. You could get enough news from now till January. You could write all these tonight too, right? I think that the last press briefing, when I spoke about it, we finalized all the works that needs to be done, all the engineering, all the questions that was related to that. So everything pretty much completed. It would only be a funding mechanism that would need to be put in place now to do that. I drove Gladstone Road the other day, and, you know, it could be pretty busy. I usually don't try to take that route, but, you know, I don't live in Nassau like most of you, but, you know, for the most part, it's a project that needs to be started, and it will only be the financing mechanism that we need to complete with the Ministry of Finance to get that going.
And the other small scopes is road works around the island. Have they been completed yet?
Well, it's continuous. I mean, if you drive around New Providence, and it's never going to be a perfect scenario because we live with a lot, and we'll be at a lot of rain this weekend, so you still have some potholes. But if you look at what the Ministry of Works has accomplished, paved Shirley Street just the other week. We're doing part of Bay Street now. Once water sewage is complete, their works there. We've paved almost 65 miles of road this year, compared to other years when you only paved 25. So I think that the team at the Ministry of Works, because, you know, I only represent the ministry, but I don't do the work. But the team that does Baja Mix, and the team down there, and the team and civils that do the work, I'm extremely proud of the work that they've done. And you know, no matter what criticism they get from the public, if they pave in the day, they should have paved in the night. If they pave in the night, they should have paved in the day. They still go, you know, and do what they're supposed to do, and very proud. And you got to remember, these are Bahamians doing top quality international work here in New Providence. So very proud.
You just mentioned that you paved 65 miles of road this year alone.
Not me personally, but
Of
yeah.
course, as opposed to 25 miles, this was usually done in the past. Can you say that how much the budget line item was for road pavements, and also has it increased?
No, but we're still on budget. I think about a year ago, we announced the New Providence Road Improvement Project, where we budgeted $98 million altogether with drainage, sidewalks, and road paving. So we're still on budget. It was supposed to be a 2.5-year project that would span until 2026 election cycle, and we're on schedule with that, and we're on budget. So we're not spending more than what, but it's in a line item because it was a cabinet approval. Yeah.
I'll pivot back to local government real quick. Talk about empowering the councils. You talk about this specific councils.
Right. So I think one of the major thrusts for me is that local councils will now have revenue raising powers. I know a lot of times you'll hear councils say they don't have enough funding, they can't do what they need to do. But now they're provided with a mechanism where they can raise money if they want to construct some type of gazebo, a bathroom facility, or something within their community. They now have the authority to raise money in that regard. So I think that is something that local government's been agitating for a while, and we're able to do that. So we're excited about that too.
My last question, roads and family yards are also an issue as well. I visited Bimini about 3 months ago, and the road from the airport to the ferry is absolutely dreadful.
Yeah.
And also the roads in Andros, people keep complaining about the roads in Andros, and the contractor apparently is stalled. Can you give us an update on those road works, please?
Apparently, which contractor?
The contractor in South Andros, he's done some works from the dock, and that's about it.
Right. So let me say that prior to this administration taking office, very few roads and family islands were paved, especially with asphalt. When you speak to Bimini, a contractor was awarded that contract, and as far as I know, he was waiting on some I don't know what kind of rock he was waiting on, or whether it was bitumen or something. He's waiting on some type of supply to pave that road. So that contract is already awarded, and they should hopefully start that, if not before Christmas, after Christmas. I know he's waiting for some of that. When you look at South Andros, we have awarded to pave 33 miles of road, I believe. They're paving there. North Andros is getting paved. Barry Islands, Abaco, you should see some more paving going in Abaco in short order. Eleuthera is getting a lot of paving. Long Island, Long Island hasn't had this amount of attention in like forever. I think it's Drake's Hill, if I'm not mistaken, is being, and Harding Road. So when you look nationally and the amount of roads that's being paved under the Ministry of Works in the past year alone, I mean, when you look at decades of things not getting done, and then you try to do it in, 1 year? I think we've done a lot. It's never going to be enough what people deserve, but when you look at the amount of work that's being done, it's something that, for me, I mean, I'm proud of the work that's being done.
Minister, just out of curiosity, will you be rushing in John Canoe to do this year?
Listen, I used to say I can't dance and I could shake a leg, and it might only be my right leg. But I do enjoy John Canoe. We usually, we don't have two Valley Boys and Saxons and all that, but we have the Zulu dancers but for the most part, the children participate. So Saturday, they'll have the different schools that participate, and you can see our culture come alive through our young people. So that, for me, that's exciting. So I enjoy it every year. I'm not at the option. Ain't nobody invited me to, so I don't know. Maybe next year. All right.
Who are you pulling for the Boxing Day parade?
Who, me? I tell you, I'm from the family islands. We don't have Valley Boys down there. Valley Boys, we have Saxons, we have one family. What we got in Brighton? We got Zulus and the music makers or something like that they got. I used to have Nassau John Canoe politics. All right, good? Thank you.
And Minister, I'm sure your advisors would tell you not to get into John Canoe politics, so good answer. All right, we'll move along now to talk a little bit about labor-related issues. As you know, the Ministry of Labor is in the process now of going through a consultative process on the proposal to change the schedule of payment for civil servants from a monthly schedule to a bi-weekly schedule. Meetings were held yesterday with the Ministry of Finance in that regard. To talk a little bit more about that, we have joining us today Mr. Bernard Evans, who is the Chief Labor Consultant with the Labor Resource Unit of the Public Service in the Ministry of Labor. He's joined by Lester Turnquest, Consultant with the Ministry of the Public Service. So I will invite one or both gentlemen. I'll allow them to decide who will address us first. Okay, Mr. Evans, welcome.
Good afternoon. We just came back from Bahamas Air, dealing with that saga going on at Bahamas Air. I don't see any of you was at that press meeting, so if you have any questions on that too, we'd be glad enough to follow up on that as well. But the HR system, as you know, the J.D. Edwards system that is currently being used in the public sector. It's about, I think it was installed in the late 90s, I believe. And as one of the presenters said yesterday, imagine if you're using a cell phone from 1997 today. You certainly won't have some of the features you have now. But HR systems in the past has been more predominant for HR professionals and was a one-way street. Oracle is a little bit different. Oracle is now a system that allows for employees to be interactively involved in the system. So some of the benefits from Oracle is that you, the employee, will have the opportunity to go log in, put in for vacation, your sick days, check your personal files, check your compensation, check your pay stubs, print your pay stubs, that kind of stuff. And you can do it from anywhere. All you need is Wi-Fi access. So you could be traveling, you could be on vacation, you're able to check into. And so to get away from all of the papers that are stacked up, files going missing and stuff like that. So it's a database to store all your information, to keep proper record of it. You're able to retrieve it at any time from anywhere. As I said, not to be repetitive. So there's a number of bells and whistles that comes with it. One of the glaring things for me too that I found from the presentation was that you also could do a lot of training. I think the initiative from the Ministry of Finance would allow for a number of certifications to be on the portal that you yourself can engage, and once you pass it, from what I understand, you will be rewarded. So there's monetary compensation with the Oracle system once it's rolled out. It will be rolling out in phases. And so as we engage, and this is what the unit does, our job is to ensure that all of the labor stakeholders are properly sensitized to all information, that they have an opportunity to kick the tire, to lift the hood, to ask questions, to make recommendations, to make it more personable to them and their members, that they can share it and be well versed in it. It's the intention of the Ministry of Finance and their presenters to go to every nook and cranny, every settlement, every creek. I think the next phase in the first quarter is to go to Grand Bahama and Abaco, and then subsequently to all other major islands and keys. And so that no one will be left without knowledge. They have also opened up, if you need individual training on this Oracle system, they will be more than happy to make themselves available to share information. One of the main pushback that we've been hearing on misinformation is this bi-monthly payments. For those of us who came from quasi or private sector, this is nothing new for us. Me being a former employee at BTC, we got paid on the 15th and the last working day of the month. I can't imagine living and only being paid once a month. I have 2 kids. One of them, well, twins. I have 6 kids, but I have twins. And I use this analogy because one of them is in the private sector, and they get paid bi-monthly, and one get paid once a month. They both took out a loan for a car. I advised them against it, but they took out a loan for a car on their birthday. One finished paying for their car 11 months earlier than the other. Somehow the system, the matrix how it works with interest and all this stuff, because it's making double payments every month, the one who was being paid twice a month was able to pay off their loan 11 months quicker or earlier than the other. And so I know that there's an advantage with this, the new scheme. And based on the feedback, and I must say, and I thank those, there are 3 congresses in this country, as you may be aware. One is led by Obie Ferguson, the other is led by Dwayne Woods, and one is led by Belinda Wilson. Belinda Wilson could not make yesterday's presentation. There was a presentation set for the earlier week prior to, but there were some conflicting schedules with the training room at Customs, so that was we were unable to facilitate that meeting. So when we rescheduled, she could not make that meeting. But again, the presenters are making themselves available, so whenever they are ready. I know it's the festive season, and perhaps things are a little bit tight, but they're able to meet with them at any time when they're available to do so. Okay, and so based on the feedback we've received, we had over 37 union representatives present, so 2 congresses were represented, and from what my observation was, they all bought into it. There were questions about security. Recently they talked about the hack that Amazon went through and wondering whether or not we would be susceptible to that kind of risk involved. And of course, Mr. Cawley, who is some risk specialist on the Oracle team, was able to share information on the safety of the Oracle system. Oracle is widely used around the world. It's a global software. And so they brag on this protection, the many layers of protections that they have in terms of your personal information. And he advised the persons, just like you do with your own ATM cards and what's not, you keep your password to yourself and not display it, don't share it around and all that stuff. And so the feedback was good, the interaction was good, the questions were all answered satisfactorily. And again, there's follow-up. And so we were pleased that we were able to engage at least that first meeting of many, many more meetings. And I've also asked that they have a separate meeting for the press, that if you want to speak directly with the core principles of Oracle, that you too would have that opportunity to pose questions that you may be having as you go about your daily chores. With that, that's pretty much it. We were happy to begin. And like I say, in the first quarter of next year, we will see that we'll be traveling the Bahamas wide to all of the islands and keys to bring it home to all members. Okay?
Yes, Joshua Williams from RN News. I know Ms. Wilson did not make that meeting, but speaking with her this week, she claims that no government official has authority to unilaterally change the terms and conditions of service inclusive of the pay period. Is that an accurate statement?
Let me just say this. You cannot change the terms and conditions of an industrial agreement unilaterally. Okay? The system itself do not fall in that category. Doesn't fall in that category.
Just to clarify, was Mr. Kingsley Ferguson a part of that meeting or any representative?
No. Kimberly's a part of the Umbrella Congress. Belinda, I think BPSU, BUT, Financial Services Union, the Hotel Union, and I hope I don't get in trouble, but another union. But they were not present. But suffice to say, though, 2/3 of all the Congress were there. So we had representatives from the nurses, the teachers from the Northern Bahamas. We had nurses representatives, teachers representatives, public servant representatives. We had customs and immigration. We had doctors. We had all plethora, a good segment of the working force that needed to be there. So I'm sure. And plus, we had 500 people online, over 500 persons were online as well for the presentation.
Just to clarify, you say this is going to be in phases, the training. So does that mean come January next year, you will start, the public workers will start seeing that bi-weekly pay? Just to be clear.
Repeat your question.
All right, so you're saying in phases, the ministry will go around giving training. So just to clarify, does that mean come January, will we start to see the workers getting that money being taken out bi-monthly per se, just to clarify, or that's just?
I cannot speak directly to how that format will take place, but I do know the first quarter is just more of a soft introduction, okay, to all of the stakeholders. And then as time go on, then we will get more deeper involved. But it's very user-friendly, and because the portal is online, you're able to go online yourself and train yourself very quick and avail yourself of the information. It's nothing to be afraid of. I just think anything new that people a little bit, push back on us, but once they get to know exactly what it is. There was a time I didn't want to use my ATM or buy online, but now you can't beat me buying online. I didn't trust my card or there, whatever, but it's changing times, Any other questions?
Now I know that the government typically only thinks about itself, right? In terms of how they're going to make their life easier. But have you spoken to the banks? Because, for example, I have my creditors on a schedule. I know exactly when they're supposed to get their money from me, et cetera, my landlord, whatever it is. Have you spoken to the bank and how it's going to jerk them?
From what I understand, nothing would change. The exact same arrangement you have with your bank will remain. Nothing will change. Absolutely nothing. As a matter of fact, this will give you more power to make further adjustments and for the further frequent adjustments that you make, because you will have that kind of power over your income.
Have you spoken to the banks?
I'm sure they did, yes. I'm sure they did. Yeah.
Given the fact that we've seen Ms. Wilson in the press making a lot of statements about this bi-weekly pay, but you said today she's not been to any of the meetings, what do you make of that? Do you think it's an act of defiance?
No, Belinda has presented a number of questions Ms. Wilson, let me give her a proper title. President Wilson has made a number of concerns known in writing. So there was a meeting set up for just to answer those very concerns. So it's not the first time they have heard about it. It's just that, save for last week, for the conflicting, they would have been a part of that first meeting. Okay. Just at the second meeting was somewhat quick, I guess, and the turnaround. She may have had plans, because I understand that she is traveling, and so that may have caused a problem.
In case, you guys do come together and have a union talk, and they're still not happy with how this is rolling out, and they will still continue with their industrial action, what's the next plan to mediate, if that's something?
No, this dialogue. I think once you, and that's the beauty of what we do as consultants. We continue to keep the door of dialogue open, the window open. And so once you're able to talk with people and reason with people, like you say, outside, if you were outside and coming out of that meeting, and you were to interview the person coming out of that meeting, they would tell you 100% they feel so much better, much more relieved that they understand fully now for themselves what is being proposed.
And just switching gears a bit, I know you said you talk about what was going on behind this area per se. How did that union conciliation or talks went? Because I know that I think the Bahamas Air point of view is this is an illegal move per se. How did you speak to the unions and how did that go?
We're still waiting for the hear back from the union. Okay, but we know how the union works. I've been the president of the union for 12 consecutive years, so I know when we take industrial action. Or they're saying this is not industrial action, but we understand what's going on, and I guess we will hear from them soon.
What happens if it goes beyond today? There's this concern about residents.
Again, this is not new. We've been through this rodeo before, Management have some, some things that they can do at their disposal. And from what I'm aware, they are engaged in those options that are before them right now.
Can you say whether if these employees will face consequences per se, or that's up to the Bahamas Air?
We hope not, but like I appealed at the press conference, I told them, right? I received a number of phone calls, man. A lot of Bahamas over there in those two airports in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, they didn't max out. They spend all their money. They turn in the card and they check out of the hotel. They get the carry-on bags. They're ready to come home. All right? They need to come home. And I'm appealing again to President Fountain to please, get those planes back in there. Go and bring my people home, please.
And just a point of protocol, did the union went through the proper process to go through this industrial action that they're doing today? Or did they strike vote? Did they do all the proper?
No, none of that. We were negotiating. We had invoked the director himself to mediate. Management did. Just yesterday, there was a letter, I don't know if it was shared with you guys, but it was a letter that was sent from the union to the director, laying out the conditions under which they were settled. That was dated December 9th. We then met subsequently on December 16th. The management made a proposal to their offer. They had asked for 6 increments and some other things. Management said that they felt that they didn't owe it based on their understanding of the industrial agreement. So in good faith, management offered 2 increments as a means to settle it. Well, what was expected was that they would go back to the members, like they said, and then members would tell them exactly, because they are a creature of instructions. Like once you become an executive in the union, you don't take initiatives on yourself, you just go back and for ratification. So if the members had turned it down, then you should have just come back in writing and said, well, we met with our members and they had turned it down, or whatever the consequences of the meeting was. The only thing we heard was that I was getting, my phone was blowing up, like I said, from as late as, 12 a.m., and then as early as 3:15 a.m., that they were not coming out.
I want to go out to the bi-weekly pay situation. Will that also affect pensions?
No, not at all. Not at all. Nothing's going to change. Your pension's not going to change. Your deductions for your various loan persons and stuff like that, and our savings, they would never change. They're not going to change. Everything will remain the same. Okay? Cool.
Thank you very much, Mr. Evans. for that comprehensive look at the new proposal. Are there any further questions?
Just to you, right? Sorry. Yeah, there's nothing, there's. I just wanted to get OPM's reaction to the nomination for the U.S. ambassador. How do, I guess, OPM feel that we, for the first time in a long time, we're going to get an ambassador and not a charge affair?
Well, the administration is very pleased that the appointment of a new ambassador appears to be imminent. Of course, that is pending confirmation. This is something that the administration has lobbied for and is happy to see the reinstatement of U.S. representation in the Bahamas in its highest form for the first time since the Obama administration.
And how do you feel about the nominee's caliber? I know he has a lot of achievements, but I know he's shrouded in some controversy, particularly when he was in politics. Do you feel the OPM feels strongly about his ability diplomatic-wise, per se?
Well, the appointee is had the prerogative of the United States of America. We are happy to work with whoever that appointee may be. We are, of course, looking to ensure that the mutual interests of both countries are observed and that we continue to deepen and strengthen the relationship that we've shared over the many decades.
I know last week you mentioned that the transitional team for the commissioner position has already began working. Any more updates in terms of when exactly will we know the final day in office for Commissioner Fernando? When will that official transition take place? Will it happen in the month of January or within the first few months of next year or before the year is out?
I still cannot say that at this point. Suffice it to say that the handover or the transition process continues to take place. The incoming commissioner is wrapping up her affairs in Grand Bahama, and an announcement will come soon, I'll say, on the date and the ceremonies and everything that goes along with such a transition.
I know there's going to be a big shakeup in the police force, according to the Prime Minister. Can you say exactly what sort of new positions, new people we may see, or will we see more female representation in the top brass? Will we see more young people in the top brass of the police force?
I won't preempt any announcement on that.
Can you confirm whether the Prime Minister and Mr. Monroe was able to have that meeting with the Commodore this week?
I do not think that meeting has happened as yet, but I can get an update for you. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for coming. Have a great day, and I hope everyone enjoys their holiday. Thank you.